The other 13% went to you, a
Yeah.
local lawyer who did no fundraising, spend no money on
Yeah,
campaign.
you're reading the New York Times piece on it. Yeah.
I am. And you paid $2,500 to
Yeah.
put your name on the ballot to protest how Democrats have treated the coal industry in West Virginia.
Yep.
So you've never told me the story directly, but you know, West Virginia, I mean, West Virginia has gone through a lot, right? Between
Yeah,
the coal industry and the opioid industry. I mean, Jesus. So clearly it's a neglected state by both
Right.
Republicans and Democrats. Do you think anything has changed? And you're
No.
you're doing it to prove a point. Like, tell me about that experience.
All right. So here's what happened is I'm going to say this first. If I were to rank my presidents from 1 to whatever they are, Barack Obama is number 1. That's, to me, he is the most brilliant. He's the smartest, most charismatic. He all of that. He's presidential.
Yeah.
But he fucked my home state.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that I have to say about him. So here's the crazy thing that happened. In 1970 something, Nixon passed the Environmental Protection Act. And they basically said, hey, we need to stop polluting the wind and the water. And so Congress was tasked with coming up and identifying pollutants. And politics got involved. And up until 1990, they had never mentioned anything about mercury from the coal mines. The coal mines were not regulated for the discharge, the coal burning facilities, right? The coal power plants were not on the list. So there was a huge study that was commissioned to study the output of the coal burning power plants to see what in those plumes is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And the focus was on mercury, because mercury, as the theory goes, was being burned in the coal, and it was then winding up in the waters, being absorbed by fish, being eaten by mothers, and showing up in the livers of babies. So the study that comes out in 1990, the EPA says, you know what? There's not a strong enough scientific basis to say that that mercury came from these coal stacks. That was Old Man Bush. So there was no regulation. Clinton comes in, and his EPA, based on the same study, reached the opposite conclusion. And so the regulators began trying to implement that rule. But by the time the rule came up, Clinton was out, Gore lost, right, and young Bush came in. He flipped it back. He took the same results that his dad did and said, nope. Right. So then along comes Barack Obama. And Barack Obama, when he ran the first time, said, I'm going to implement clean water, clean air. I'm going to I can't outlaw burning of coal, but what I can do is I can make it so expensive that it puts the coal burning power plants into bankruptcy. That's what he said. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton came to my state and won. She beat Obama in West Virginia. And she went around, and it's on my website. She made her acceptance speech where she walked in and said, I'm a granddaughter of a coal miner, and I will never forget you, and I will never leave you.
Right.
Well, 8 years later, Hillary Clinton shows up, and she's saying things like, on national television, we're going to put a lot of coal companies out of business, right? Barack Obama used the EPA to implement the rule finally. And as soon as he implemented that rule, it put the pension funds, the steel industry, and the coal industry into bankruptcy in West Virginia. Now, all that being said, okay, we also waged war not just on coal, but we also waged a war on terror. We bombed Afghanistan and Iraq back into the Middle Ages. And then we spent billions of dollars rebuilding their infrastructure. And guess what else we built? Guess what we built Afghanistan and Iraq? We built them power plants. And not only did we build them power plants, we built them fossil fuel burning power plants. So we're over in Iraq and Afghanistan building fossil fuel burning power plants. And we're back in the United States and we're putting coal companies out of business. And we don't even have the decency to reimburse their pension funds.
Yeah.
So I was pissed. So I went to Joe Manchin. I read a book about Robert C. Byrd, Senator Byrd.
Yeah.
And I went to Joe Manchin and I said, Joe, I got this idea. The presidential election is in 2016. You have to run for your U.S. Senate seat again in 2018. Why don't you do what Bob Byrd did in 1976?
Mm-hmm.
Run for president only in West Virginia. You can go around the entire state. You can raise a war chest for your 2018 campaign run, and you can go around and your entire premise is this, is I'm running to capture all 33 delegates to the Democratic National Convention from West Virginia. And I'm going to do the same thing Bob Byrd did, is that he got 31 of 33 votes. He got 92% of the votes. And when the Democrats wanted Jimmy Carter to be president, he said, no, I'm holding out. I won't release my votes, until Jimmy Carter came to him and said, Bob, what's going on? We won. And he said, I want to be majority leader.
Yeah.
I said, Joe, all you got to do is you'll win the state. And then you go to Hillary and you say, Hillary, I will pledge you the West Virginia votes if you put in your 100-day plan funding of the coal mine pension bill that I'm sponsoring.
Right.
That's it. And he said, no. He said, Hillary and Bill are vindictive. And I think that will jeopardize the coal mine pension bill rather than support it. And that pissed me off to no end. So I was in a mediation in Charleston, West Virginia, when I took that call from Joe Manchin. I got up, I went down to the Capitol, I wrote a $2,500 check, and I put my name on the ballot. Because I knew intrinsically that the people of West Virginia were not going to tolerate Hillary Clinton, not because she was a woman, had nothing to do with her being a woman.
Right. I believe that.
Right. It had to do with the fact that she went on national television in the midst of what we were experiencing. And it's on there. She said in a town hall, we're going to put a lot of coal companies and coal miners out of business. Right. She had to make an apology tour for that, but it's too late. Right. So I was pissed. I wrote a big editorial, put it in the newspaper. And the funny thing is that if you win 15% in any one of the 3 congressional districts, you get 3 automatic votes or 3 automatic delegates to the national convention. And I won 14.6% in the 3rd congressional district. I was like 200 plus votes away from getting delegates to the without raising a dollar or spending a dollar. But that's, again, it was a futile effort. I ran for president. I lost. Thanks for reminding me, great way to end this is reminding me of the biggest, the loss on the biggest stage of my career. The only thing that could be of a bigger loss is if I lose my hometown's opioid case.